The latest Star Wars film continues to stir debate after the divisive Last Jedi did not sit well with some audiences. Today, we're going to give you our own input on Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. This is a spoiler review and discussion, so if you have not seen the movie and don't want to be spoiled, stop now and come back, of course, once you do. So with that, I am your host, Giovany, and welcome to my YouTube channel, The Movie Canon. This time around, the Movie Canon Council consists of Ivan.
Hello.
Matthew.
Hello there.
And Jessica.
Hello.
So with that out of the way, let's get this Star Wars discussion started.
And here we go.
All right, so we're just going to briefly mention some of the things that we're iffy about. With me was the whole thing about being able to bring someone back to life. From we have learned with Star Wars lore, Darth Plagueis was like this very powerful Sith Lord or whatever, and he found a way to bring people back to life. So it was like a big thing, like, oh, he learned how to do this, wow. And then Palpatine learned how to do it or whatever, and that's kind of what made Anakin become, a Sith. That whole thing, and it made it. They made it seem like it was something that not just anyone can just do. Is like it really takes a really powerful Force user. Like it's a whole thing, right? And then we just see Rey just
being all willy-nilly with
have healing powers or whatever, and I don't know where she got it from. How did she learn that? What was it, Leia? Then how did Leia learn it? Things like that. And then we saw Kylo doing it too. Like, when did Kylo learn that? Snoke showed it to him, I guess, maybe. So that part I was very iffy about. Like, I don't know how I feel about this. I'm leaning towards I don't like it because it doesn't really make any sense from what I've seen. But I don't know where to sit with that one. And then the other thing with that is the whole cloning Snoke. The whole cloning Snoke thing is like, well, we go back and forth with the whole Star Wars lore that can you be a Force user if you're a clone? We go back and forth that it's maybe they can if they put the, what do you call those, Brian? I mean, Matthew, what is it called?
Midichlorian.
Yeah, I mean, did Palpatine insert that to each Snoke clone? And that's why he's this powerful Force user? So much that he can control Kylo Ren for a while if he's a clone. So I mean, I don't know how that works exactly. I was kind of iffy about that. Evan?
Yeah, the Snoke cloning thing. Like, what were those? Were those like the bad batches, or were they getting
the really fucking bad batches?
Yeah, like I don't know. It just like made no sense. Like, if Snoke died, like why wouldn't they just dispatch another Snoke right away? I guess it was bad batches maybe, but yeah, that made no sense. How much was Emperor Palpatine? Like, if I go back and watch Force Awakens, Last Jedi, am I going to be able to get like hints of like where they were going with? Like,
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, it doesn't seem like it. So.
Because I tried. Because remember I saw the trailer.
Uh-huh.
The very first trailer of this movie back in April.
Yeah.
They revealed Palpatine. They didn't say
what. They showed his.
Yeah, they showed the voice, right?
Yeah.
So I kind of looked for it when I started rewatching all of them.
Okay.
It's like, is there any hints of Palpatine? And there isn't.
Okay.
Not that I noticed. Last Jedi, same thing.
Okay, yeah, and also, that thing you were telling me, it's talking about the really freaking curing anything now, you know what I mean, from like wounds and stuff. There is the like pretty much the overall plot. I don't like. Was it that great of a plot? I mean, like plan for them to release all these Death Stars. The Star Destroyers. You know what I mean? Like I have no idea what the hell is going on. What are the politics? Like, they're talking about the Republic. The Republic's gone. Okay, so are all the planets now independent? Like, I have no idea what's going on. The resistance, rebellion, like, I don't get what's going on with that either. Like, the politics is done. Like, there's nothing. This is just people with different ideologies fighting. There's nothing. There's no structure to it at all.
Something I was iffy about was the whole idea of like, after they defeated Emperor Palpatine, like the First Order just like end. Like, what happened to that part of like the First Order? Because that was the final order. So what about the First Order? Do they like continue like doing bad things all over the galaxy? Like, that part didn't really make much sense. Which honestly I thought about like the second I left the theater. And something else that was like kind of iffy was the whole point of like the Resistance deciding to even like go attack the fleet, since they like didn't even have that many people in the first place. Since it was like Poe even said that when they sent the signal on the battle crate that no one showed up. So like did the rebellion even like grow that much for them to like do an attack on a fleet that's like way bigger than anything they fought before? That didn't really make much sense to me. And I kind of the whole thing with like the healing, I was a little bit iffy. I wasn't iffy up until Kylo Ren did it, because like he basically transmitted his own life into her, which was like, when did he get that? Because the Rey kind of like healing wounds, I kind of got that because in the Mandalorian episode, Baby Yoda just like healed the guy, and he's of course is like basically a toddler, so like where did he get that from? So like maybe it's just like ability that's not hard to do. So with Rey like doing that, I wasn't really bothered, but Kylo Ren basically like gave his life to her.
Let's see, what was I iffy about? Definitely the clones. I thought that was weird. I would have preferred it if just Snoke was just his apprentice, just like everybody else's, and that's how he was working through him, because he sent him there, you know. So I thought that was kind of weird. And the whole healing thing too, I wasn't, I guess kind of iffy, but not really. I feel like anyone that's that strong with the Force should be able to do it, but the whole like healing, yes, but the bringing back from the dead, no. Like, it feels like a completely different thing.
Yeah, I kind of see it the same.
Especially like because that's the hidden secret that like no one will even teach you, because I don't know, because it's evil or something. But it's maybe just people with like the Sith power can do that, because now we know that Rey had it, and Kylo was on his way to having it. So I don't know if maybe that has something to do with it.
Baby Yoda did it.
I know, but we're not talking about the Baby Yoda right now.
Also Force choked that one girl.
Yeah, so I don't know if that, but he's like super insanely powerful with the Force though, Yoda. So
yeah, the other thing that I was also iffy about was the whole thing, Rey being a Palpatine. Like, I was fine with her being a nobody, and so now she's linked to a character that comes from the original. So I don't think I really care too much for it, but it kind of makes sense based on what the rest of the story is. It's like, okay, that's why she has all this power so quickly, because she's a Palpatine, I guess.
That's why I was happy with it. I wanted her to have like an easy answer to how powerful she was.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like, well, okay, so she's just powerful because she is a Palpatine. So I guess that makes sense. But I was like, well, can it just be someone who's not part of the Star Wars universe, or the ones that we're familiar with, or whatever. Then the other thing is, like, I wasn't a big fan of Kylo being redeemed.
Yeah, me neither.
Like I said, I think I mentioned already that it is consistent with Star Wars that the bad guy redeems himself somehow. But with him, I didn't want him to. But I still didn't buy it though. Like, even though I was expecting that, okay, he was gonna redeem himself somehow, I still didn't buy that he so quickly turned. Mm-hmm. And even at one point, I thought, you know how Leia was talk to him, and then that's what changed started to turn everything. Mm-hmm. I was like, did like Leia like transform her spirit into Kylo, that he like instantly changed? Like for a while, I was like, is that what happened?
Yeah.
But it just didn't like make no sense that changed so fast.
Right.
So I thought I didn't really like that part. So I was iffy about that too.
They were kind of hinting something like that in Last Jedi. Right? Remember when he was flying his TIE fighter? And,
Yeah.
Yeah, and she was kind of communicating with him. They were
Yeah.
kind of hinting towards that, but it's still also to be that quick and easy.
All right, so now we're at the positives of the Rise of Skywalker. Again, there's a lot of fan service in this movie. There's a lot of things that I enjoyed seeing, that I appreciated seeing. Like Matthew mentioned, I've always liked Kylo Ren's lightsaber and his outfit, and he looks even cooler in this movie because he has all the cracks on the helmet, and then it looks like all red and like blood and like lights and evil and all this stuff. So I like that. I like seeing Han again, even though they didn't really make that much sense. I like seeing Palpatine again, even that didn't make much sense either. I did still kind of liked that Leia was able to come back as Carrie Fisher to come back as Leia, even though it did take me out of it a bit. So that's one thing too.
I liked how a lot of nostalgia, like they took us back to Tatooine, they showed Luke's home. I like a lot of Force abilities not really shown in a lot of Star Wars canon, really. Like the healing factor and what else? And yeah, just really the healing factor, and I like how they like took a lot from other medias, and I also liked the fact that a lot of original trilogy characters kind of got a send-off, like even C-3PO got his own send-off for a little while, even though he like technically came back, and Carrie Fisher got a send-off. And I liked how the continuity worked with like some of the characters, like Finn still gets excited after shooting down one TIE fighter, and it still yells every time the Millennium Falcon comes to battle. So yeah.
Jessica?
The positives?
Yes.
I think that the fan service in this was great. It touched on a lot of things that I'm happy that they wrapped up the right way, it felt for me. And let's see, positives. It was visually awesome. Like so many great scenes, like when they're fighting on the Death Star and like the waves crashing, and when she's training in the jungle. Yeah, I thought those were great.
Yeah, like I took that for granted, the CGI. Like I didn't mention the CGI.
Yeah, the
because
practical
it's just
effects
so
were great.
expected. Like yeah, I expect great special effects at this point for any Star Wars movie.
Exactly.
But yeah, it was great too. Ivan?
The positives: the director, the cinematography, beautiful movie, well done movie. The gunfights, somehow they were just like more realistic in this movie, especially the part where they're on that the Star Destroyer, Poe and Finn and Chewbacca are running around the hallway shooting. Like it just like it made it feel more like deadly.
The stormtroopers kept falling.
Yeah, it made it feel really deadly. Whereas in The Force Awakens, it just felt like really like sci-fi. Like it just like it looked like they were just like getting knocked out instead of actually dying.
Star Trekky.
The fan service minus Lando. A lot of the send-offs, even if they weren't real send-offs, you know what I mean, like C-3PO and stuff like that, like they just like made you feel like got you worried, like, oh god, is this it for this character, stuff like that. And Rey, like her arc was, I'm really happy with everything they did with Rey's character in this one.
Okay.
And a lot of people aren't too happy with it. And let's see what else. Yeah, I think those are the main things. Just for sure, I'm so happy J.J. Abrams came back and did this. Can't imagine if Rian Johnson or maybe any other director would have came back and done this. I think J.J. Abrams knew exactly just how to finish this off.
All right, so now the negatives of The Rise of Skywalker for me are basically the same things that I mentioned that I felt iffy about. You know, the whole purpose of Palpatine coming back, the cloning of Snoke, Kylo's redemption that it seemed kind of forced. That Rey was a little too overpowered, stuff like that. But I'm gonna throw it to Ivan.
My biggest negative is just the cliche climatic battle at the very end, where everything's on the line at the very end. My favorite type of climatic ending is The Dark Knight. Just three people in Joker, Harvey Dent. Joker, not the Joker. Two-Face, Batman, and Commissioner Gordon. There was nothing really at stake, and yet it was such a climatic ending. Whereas this is everything is on the line. It's either all the bad guys are gonna win or the good guys are gonna win. It's so cheap, and I was so disappointed with that. Everything that was negative, I was willing to let slide in the first two acts. But that one, I just cut it. I hate like plot devices. Let's trap all those Star Destroyers here. Let's destroy them all at once. I hate that with such a passion that it ruins movies for me. And I was so freaking happy in the first two acts, and that killed it for me.
So like the Phantom Menace when they destroy that one device or whatever, and then kill all the droids.
Just stop. Nothing kills a movie more than that.
There was some other movie that was like that.
Avengers.
Avengers. Okay, yeah, there it is.
Yeah, Avengers.
I know there was another big movie that did that too. Jessica?
I didn't have any huge negatives for this movie that would make me dislike it. I liked the story. I liked probably just Lando.
Just Lando?
Yeah, just it was the only time I was ever okay,
Yeah.
that took me out of it.
Do something really spectacular, not
Yeah.
just you're okay.
You're there.
Yeah. Otherwise, I understood why everybody else was in it, what they were going for. I know obviously why Lando was in it, what they were going for, but it was kind of just overkill. Yeah.
Matthew?
Well, a lot of my negatives come from what Rian Johnson did with Last Jedi. I feel like the direction they were going to take with this movie would have been better if Rian Johnson didn't kill off Snoke and Luke, which is probably why they brought in Palpatine last minute, and probably why they made Snoke clone-ish. And another negative is I didn't like how Lando was just conveniently at the planet they showed up at. I feel like they only really brought him back was for fan service, and because they kind of reestablished his character in Solo, so they kind of felt necessary to bring him back. And I also don't like how Rey was significantly more powered in this movie. All of a sudden she's jumping around very Jedi Master and I guess it kind of makes sense with the 1 year age gap, but it feels too much, too much. And I also don't like how they didn't they established a relationship between Kylo Ren and Rey, but not really an intimate one. Everyone was expecting the kiss, but it wasn't really it wasn't really hyped up. It wasn't shown that it was going to happen with the relationship they were building up.
I forgot to mention this. What were your thoughts that actually a couple things I just thought of. What were your thoughts on Leia having a lightsaber and then her training, and that she had that Luke had her lightsaber for all this time? And then what were your thoughts on that Luke always knew that Rey was a Palpatine, and that Leia also always knew that Rey was a Palpatine?
Forgot about that. As of right now, so again, saw this movie a few hours ago. It seems pretty stupid. Did they really know she was a freaking Palpatine?
Well, here's my thing with that. Is Luke secluded himself because he was so regretful that what happened with Kylo, that he turned to the dark side and there's all this other crap and blah blah blah, and he's never going to train anyone because of what happened, blah blah blah, and yet he went and trained Rey, this girl that he doesn't really know that much, and then he knew that she was a Palpatine. A Palpatine? And it was like, how did you? I don't understand. How did you know this and yet you still trained her? Like you were reluctant at first, but you ended up training her. But then you knew that she was a Palpatine.
No, that is pretty poor writing.
And then Leia knew too. So it's like, so that part was like, that was weird. Do you have any thoughts on that, Jessica or Matthew?
No.
Well, I didn't like that they both knew. I thought it would have been okay if Luke knew, since he has a lot stronger connection to the Force than Leia. But like even then, it was also kind of dumb. And I know Legends is no longer canon, but even then she had a lightsaber, which honestly I liked because they were both the children of a really Force sensitive Anakin Skywalker. So it makes sense that she'd want to train and like kind of learn the ways of the Force.
Yeah, that part's fine. Like it would make sense for her to eventually train and have her own lightsaber, but it wasn't set up at all.
No,
not in the movies.
Mm-mm.
Not in anything canon. And like just like in the last minute, like, oh yeah, she's had this lightsaber. She's trained.
Yeah.
Years ago when we were like 12. Or whatever, 17, 18,
especially
whatever.
after Yoda being like, there's another, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
She trained, but then decided like being a mom was more important, you know what I mean? Like, just was really cheap.
Yeah, so that was very convenient. So I was like,
It was cool. I'm happy. Like, if I had to, like, if it was between her never freaking like deciding to ever train, and then all we got is that one scene, yeah, I'll go. I'll be happy with it. But it's weird that she let Luke take the lightsaber. Why wouldn't she just keep it for keepsake? Anything.
yeah, like there's a lot of like good ideas that could have
but poorly executed.
Yeah, so it was the execution for sure. But they just introduced this stuff in the last chapter.
Yeah, they should have thought of this stuff before Force Awakens, and all this stuff would have been done a lot better.
All right, so we're towards the end of the podcast style video, spoiler review of The Rise of Skywalker. So I'm going to grade the film, even though I kind of already did it in my non-spoiler review. What I did say, though, in my non-spoiler review is that I may change my grade after watching it the second time. Okay, so this is still going to be a see it for Star Wars Rise of Skywalker. It's still a movie that every Star Wars fan should watch, and most people should watch, because there are some good stuff in it, or interesting parts in it. Just some stuff didn't make much sense. The execution was pretty poor, but overall I'll say it's a see it. Okay, so my grade is not gonna change. It's gonna stay as a solid B. So Rise of Skywalker is a solid B, and that is my grade. So I'm gonna change it to you, Ivan.
My grade for the movie is B plus. It's a beautiful movie, so it's definitely a see it in movie theater. Best possibly Dolby. The movie is just like the positives outweigh the negatives.
Matthew?
I'm gonna give it a C and also B plus, because I really thought it was actually a pretty solid film, besides for like the negatives, of course. But like, yeah, there was also, of course there was like way more positives than negatives.
Jessica?
I give it a solid B, and it's a definite see it, and yay.
All right, so that concludes this spoiler review of Rise of Skywalker. Hopefully you can get to the end and you have not seen the movie. But this ends this podcast style video. So thank you so much for Ivan, Matthew, and Jessica for being part of this council, the Movie Canon Council. Make sure you follow me on the Movie Canon Instagram page, and subscribe to this channel for future content and whatnot. But that's pretty much it. Thank you very much for watching or listening, whatever way you decided to enjoy this amazing video, and I'll see you guys next time.